Welcome to another emotional art piece. This episode is brought to you by our friend Buddy at Buddy's Piano Tuning. Because let's be honest, your piano is probably just sitting there, slightly out of tune, waiting, resentful. Whether you're a professional piano player or if you just want your kids' practice to sound a little more on key, you've got a friend in Buddy. He is going to meet your piano where it's at, and he's going to make it sing. Also, all that awesome music that's floating around through this podcast, that's Buddy. He doesn't just tune pianos, he plays them too. Beautifully, thoughtfully, like someone who listens. If you live in the Pacific Northwest, just Google Buddy's Piano Tuning. It's going to take you right to his booking site. Or you can just email him, buddyspianotuningandrepair@gmail.com. When you book with him, tell him that you heard about him from This Is Emotion Art. He might play you a song. No promises. Because sometimes all a piano needs is a little attention and someone named Buddy. This is a conversation I had with my friend Paige. He's a local artist, jam band, lot of soul, and he basically lives to make people dance. And he's great at it. The first thing that grabbed me about Paige was when I saw him on stage. The way he opens himself completely to his art and to his audience. There's something intimate about it that just grabbed me. Of course, he's not just that way on stage. That's how he lives his life. He's just got this open, joyful, trusting energy. And he loves talking about existential shit. Of course, I wanted to record a conversation with him. And as with every conversation, I had no idea what to expect. I was going to scratch a deep itch, and it did. Here at the Forge, hanging by the front door, we have a little bag that's full of colored glasses. They're for novelty, they're for changing mood, energy stuff. And I love wearing them because every color makes things just look different. Kind of reminds me that nothing's really real. So I brought them down for the recording, and we ended up kind of playing with them through the whole thing, wearing different ones at different times. Just so you're not confused if you're not sure exactly what we're talking about with all the color and chromatic references. Super fun though. 10 out of 10 would recommend a whole spectrum of colored glasses. Makes life more fun. At the end of this conversation, you're going to hear Paige's band, Left on Wilson, play one of my favorite recorded songs, All My Dreams Turn to Ghosts. Welcome to a seat at Paige's window. It's a treat. Enjoy the view.
Welcome to Emotion Art.
Emotion Art, where we sit down and make art.
Emotion Art.
Creative energy moving outward in conscious expression of feeling.
The Emotion Art.
It's Emotion Art.
Emotion Art.
Emotion because we are literally made of emotion. Art because everything we do wants to be art. Emotion art feels.
Emotion Art. It's all beautiful. Emotion Art. Emotion art.
A space for emotional art. Creative energy moving outward in conscious expression.
Emotion Art.
An emotion art gallery.
This is Emotion Art.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the interesting thing about my job is it's not filled up with musicians, you know. It's mostly like, I don't know how I got into this field.
I was just going to ask you that. How'd you do that?
Well, I didn't know what to do. I lived in Las Vegas, and I was like working at a car wash, and I was like, I don't know, 19 or 20 or something. It was like 120 degrees, and I'm out on like the tarmac.
Yeah.
And I was like dying of heat exhaustion when I got home, and I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. I got to do something else. And there was a commercial on TV and it was like, be an electronic technician. And I was like, that sounds cool. I'll do that.
Sounds better than the tarmac.
Yeah. So,
Did you grow up in Vegas?
I grew up in Lawrence, Kansas until I was like 15.
Okay.
It was 9th grade. I moved from Lawrence, Kansas to Las Vegas.
You went to high school in Vegas.
I went to well, it was even worse than that because I went to high school in Vegas, but 9th grade was junior high in Lawrence, Kansas. Yeah. And then in Las Vegas, it was high school. And the culture lag between, like, everybody was sagging their pants and like, and I'd never seen, I think my pants were like rolled. I don't know what, you know what I mean? Like
you were still like 10 years behind.
I was 10 years behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, so that was an experience.
Super interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of grew up in Lawrence, Kansas, and then I kind of grew up in Las Vegas for like 15 years or something like that. I kind of grew up here too.
Yeah.
So I grew up.
You kind of grow up everywhere.
I'm always growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I'm out of here.
Boy, ain't that the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are recording. I want that bag up here. Yeah, why not, dude? What is that, chromatics?
I love these glasses.
Each one of these colors, each one, hello, because there are so many people who think that like these like rocks will like channel energy will change things, and I have no fucking clue. But this one looks cool, so why not?
Listen to the telepathy tapes. They
Why
talk
not?
about crystals. Yeah.
I think I just listened to episode 8.
Yeah.
Okay, so just in case it makes any difference, we have this. This is the thing we have. We have now combined ancient and modern.
All right.
I just want to be green for a minute. Kermie sings about this, I think. It ain't easy. Chromatherapy. I love to put a pair of these on and go for the 3-mile loop in the woods, darker forest.
Yeah.
And just breathe the color. Like I'm just intentionally breathing the color itself.
Right.
And I don't know, it changes stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some orange ones that I wear.
Orange are the most like full of life.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it just charges you up.
Right.
Red does too, but in a really like dark, destructive way.
And then when you take them off, your brain is shocked. It shocks your brain.
Yeah. Is that what it is? It's kind of like culture shock.
Yeah. It's like reality.
Let me make sure your audio levels are good.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
You're good.
I'm good to go.
You're good to go. So, Paige.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. I
really appreciate you freaking driving all the way from Eugene to just have a conversation.
Yeah. Well, I told you I was going to do it.
You did.
And I got some things we could talk about. I'm sure you do. So
yeah,
I can help you out. I've never been up here, so it was cool. It was a cool drive too.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we're going to start having parties again soon.
Yeah.
We'll start inviting you again. And maybe.
Yeah. Maybe one day I'll come.
The stars will align. And until then, I'll see you in all your shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we go to those as often as we can.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Your music project, Left on Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to admit that it is my favorite local one.
Yeah. That's
not
awesome.
that everyone has a different sound and stuff, but
yeah.
There's this part inside me that really likes raw emotion, just like the sticky, gooey stuff.
Right.
And you have some songs that are just dripping with that.
Good. Yes.
Makes me feel good.
Yes. Good.
I like to, and sometimes I feel bad because I go to your concerts and, it's small venues and, the energy is so much better when people are moving and dancing. And what my body wants to do is become completely still and absorb all the energy in every wavelength. It is so intensely satisfying to just sit there. And so I do.
Yeah. Really, that's the whole envisioned of the band was like, when I think about when we first started, I just wanted to be a dance party.
Yeah.
I just want to make people dance and just go out and have a good time. And then hopefully build a community. That was kind of the whole idea at the beginning.
How long ago did that idea start?
Well, I mean, the band started in 2016, December 2016.
It's like, what is that, 8 years or
8, 9 years? Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. It's been a while. We kind of I wanted to manifest it, and I kind of like, if you even say making it, like that was something that I wanted to do, is have like a community of people that grows through music, even if it's just a small one, you know. And I feel like I've done that in a very small way. So I made it. We also have like the low light acoustic thing, which will start out with just me and Josh, just as something to go just play like on the side. And then we've gotten like the whole band involved in it, but that's like a whole nother side. So I can like all the songs that I sit there and I play at my house that I wouldn't necessarily want to bring to the whole rock band, you know, like we just go do it. We could do it in the acoustic. So we have multiple outlets, which is kind of cool.
I don't know that I've ever seen that. So it's just a different style then?
Well, it's just the whole band, but I'm playing an acoustic, Josh is playing acoustic, and Ben plays like this little ukulele bass, which sounds amazing. It sounds way bigger than how it looks, because it's just this little thing. You know?
I want to see this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But we can do a lot of different kinds of songs at that point. It's fun, dude. You should come check it out. Yeah.
I will if I can.
Yeah.
I've learned to never promise anything, because who knows what schedules do.
I know, man. I know. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm just getting real with what life is.
Yeah.
And you do it to make people move, to make people dance.
Yeah.
To give people an outlet.
Yeah. You know, music is it's a symbiosis or whatever, you know. It's like, if nobody's there, then we're just practicing, you know. So it's like, to have people there that are enjoying themselves and give you some feedback, it's the loop, you know, the musical loop.
All the energies flow together, whether they're listening or performing. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to watch, because I've also watched bands up on stage where there's no connection with the audience.
Right.
There just isn't any. And I'm watching them and I'm like,
yeah,
it all makes sense, because they're like, these guys, they're there to move energy, not their own.
Right.
They're there to move other people's energy. And when other people aren't giving them their energy, there's not much they can do.
Yeah.
And you have one job.
Yeah.
Move the energy, get them to give you their energy. That's really your job, right?
Yeah. Well,
get them to give you their energy. And
and then we'll give it back to you.
Yes.
That's it.
It's so beautiful. Yeah.
And that's when I say the original idea is just dance party, because the theory was like, when you're first starting out as a band, nobody wants to hear your love songs. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know who you are.
I mean, I'm a sucker for love songs.
But if you don't know who they are, and I come up,
not used to the sound.
I don't know. I haven't built any kind of, you know, I don't trust the band or whatever it is. Like, unless they're just amazing, badass, you know, unless you're just.
There are the ones that are just something different.
I mean, if you're just kick ass, you're kick ass, but.
That's how you guys feel to me, and I am super biased, because you touch an emotional nerve.
Yeah, well,
but
that's awesome.
That is what it feels like to me. I'm listening to this super badass grab of the emotions.
Yeah,
like you guys touch it so deep.
Yeah,
it's great. Anyway,
that's awesome. I love hearing
enough
that.
flattery.
Yeah, I love that
flattery.
But that was the whole thing, man. Is like, you don't have to think about it. You keep people dancing. And then after a while, and if you're good, then you can like throw in the slower songs or the whatever, and then you can start kind of branching out, because after people kind of does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah. And it's interesting to kind of get a walk through that progression.
Yeah. So that was kind of the idea back in the day. You know, we didn't like write it down or like, you know, but that was kind of, you know, one part of the thought process.
But love songs is the inevitable conclusion.
Really, it's just a way to play a bunch of love songs.
Yes. But really, I mean, when I'm listening to music anymore, every song is sung from the artist to themselves. Like, I just can't, I can't even pop, even the stuff you know is manufactured. Yeah. And I'm listening to it, and more I'm just hearing, they're singing to themselves.
Yeah. I mean, any good song is like, you're singing about something, hopefully, that means something to you. You know what I mean?
Like, even bad songs.
They
exist for a reason. Yeah. They were turned out by all of this mechanism, whatever the fuck it is, for a reason.
The place where songs comes from. Where is that place? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe we'll find out.
We can get into that. I don't know.
Maybe AI may tell us.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
We're about to find out the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
I think so, yeah. I'm walking down the path trying to figure it out. But some people, like they sing, it's not even about the words. It's just about the flow of the words,
Don't you think everyone's on the spectrum? Because I feel like that sometimes, and then sometimes the words of a song will just grab me.
Right.
But I tend to be more the person that the words don't matter. It's the flow. It's that rhythm and that flow. If I feel it inside, I'm going to be attracted.
Exactly. And then it's even better if you can read the lyrics and they actually, say something.
Mean something about what I'm going through.
Yeah. But, when you're writing a song, basically, I was telling my wife about it. I'm like, it's so weird because, like, do you play music or do you write tunes or anything?
I have it in my blood. Like I inherited it from my dad.
Yeah.
But I just never did anything with it because my upbringing was wacko.
Yeah. Well,
so yes and no.
Yeah.
I actually have an idea for a project I'd like to do.
Yeah.
I was part of this cult that was like super Christian, super Christian cult.
Right.
And they had a bunch of hymns, songs that they sang that they made up.
Yeah.
And there's a book of them, and I'm looking for that book because I want they're unique, and there's that depth, that thread of raw, honest emotion that runs through like the really raw Christian worship music,
right? That
it pulls me like what you guys play is worship. I'm sorry, it's worship.
Yeah,
it's from the soul. It is to whatever.
Is that why
there is?
Is that why like Spotify puts us on the Christian channel?
Probably.
No. They do.
Are you serious?
Yes.
What?
I don't know why.
Okay, I think that's just an ironic coincidence. But,
it's funny. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I don't
so where do you want to go with it? What do you want to do with your music, with your band? Like to me, I'm just like, why the heck don't they just go like start playing some really big venues and stuff? Because I'm like, it doesn't matter the size of the crowd. You'd be able to make them dance. It'd be so fucking cool.
Eventually, I think so. Yeah.
But then it's like, well, there's so much infrastructure that goes into that.
Yeah. The problem with all of that is like, we can basically only play on the weekends.
Everyone has a job and a family.
Yeah. I'm not trying to go hit the
play festivals. That's what I'm talking about.
I want to play festivals.
Do you think that you have the time resources that it would take to play festivals? Like if you had the opportunity, would you do it?
Yeah, we would do it. Yeah. But I think the problem is to get to that opportunity would require us to like go on tour. You got to like show that you're not just a band that's just never leaves town like us, basically. You know what I mean? Like you got to be like go on tour. You got to like kind of build up your brand name, your band a little bit. But I feel like if we did do that, and I wanted to do that, we had our world tour. Remember, I don't know if you saw that. It was two shows. We were going to go to Corvallis, and then we were going to go to Bend, and then we got COVID. And so that was my first attempt to try to like say as a joke, but it
felt like a local tragedy, to be honest.
Yeah, it was our world tour got canceled.
There was so much excitement in the local community.
I don't know.
There was a lot of excitement. That's an exciting thing.
And then COVID, bam,
Basically, God stamped you out.
I think like, God said, no, you're not going to play. You're not going to go down that path.
I wonder if this has anything to do with your Christian Spotify thing.
Maybe. Well, I did get my Spotify or my it was Apple Music stats for last week. It was 0 and 0.
They're lying to you because I can tell you that I listen to at least one of your songs once a week.
Yeah,
because it's on my.
Is it on Apple?
It's on my Mikey Hart playlist.
Is it okay?
Spotify.
I didn't. That one was just the Apple, and most people probably don't have that. Anyways.
I don't use Apple. I love Apple for their hardware and some of the whatever, but
yeah,
I'm using Apple equipment here.
Yeah. I don't know. I have Apple. That's
okay. How many songs do you have up on platforms?
Well, I had that. We had that album, just basically that album.
Okay.
If you go to Bandcamp, though, I mean, we got
what?
Bandcamp. It's just basically I record every show, everything we've ever done.
Seriously?
Yeah. So Bandcamp has like all of our shows on there. Well, not all of them, but
what do you do with all that? Do you just it's just there for people to see if they want to see it?
They're there to basically for the band to listen to if we want to, and anybody else who wants to listen to. But it's also just a great reference because we'll be like, oh, let's play this song. Oh, how does it go? You know, and then we can listen back to how we were playing it and be like, oh, okay, that's how that went.
Okay, so is Bandcamp something that anybody can access? Can anyone access it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's
just
how?
bandcamp.com like /left on Wilson.
Okay, sweet.
We used to put everything on archive.org or whatever it was.
So many weird pathways in this interwebs.
So that's like that's like the 2016, 2017, like the older shows are all over there.
I just gave up trying to keep track.
Yeah.
I just realized that you can tell Chat GPT that you don't know what the fuck you're doing and tell it what you kind of want to be doing, you think. And it will say, okay, well, it sounds like you need some help with organization. So here's the first step that you should probably do. Here's your option A and option B. Would you like help? You just start having a conversation.
Really?
And bro, when your brain is whatever the hell is wrong with my brain, that it can't make sense of things, organization and patterns and all that stuff, having this thing to be like, okay, now I downloaded Riverside and I uploaded the thing. What do I do next? And then it says, okay, so the next step is that you want to get the clips cut. So you want to go to Magic Clips. Yeah. It's just like, my brain can't figure this stuff out. I'm an emotional learner. I do it, and then the emotional pieces start falling into place.
Right.
This AI thing is just like,
that's amazing,
transformative. And I always hear people talk about it. Yeah, I started using AI and it changed my life. And I'm just like, using AI? What do you mean? Like, tell it, make me more pictures. Tell me the recipes. Like, no. Just start talking to it like it's a person that is there to assist you and see what happens. And it's going to be different because you're a different person than anyone else.
Right. Yeah.
Which is freaking cool.
Right. I haven't used any of that. I haven't used it.
Yesterday was my very first time doing it.
Yeah.
And I can just tell you that so far the results have been astounding.
Right. Well,
it's the only reason that we're recording. If this works, it's because I sat down and had that conversation. And some people are terrified of it.
And it's only at the beginning, you know what I mean? Like, we're only at the beginning of this whole thing.
How do you feel about having Chat GPT as a resource in that way, or AI? That you can now start integrating AI into every single aspect of your creative process, your life in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's another tool that you can use, like your own little wizard on that you could talk to about things. And it's like, I don't know, I guess it's scouring the internet for you, you know.
So you're all in.
So you're all, I mean, right now I think it's okay until we turn into like Terminator, you know. It could backfire. I don't know.
What does your gut say?
Well, I don't really. I think
what's going to happen? What is it going to look like 100 years from now, as we're on the precipice of freaking computers becoming self-aware? Maybe.
Well, I mean, the singularity or whatever. Maybe. You know, is that going to happen?
Does it look like Terminator?
Well, the problem is like maybe if it just was allowed to run and there's no human. But if it gets too powerful, then maybe people could use it as a weapon of some sort, you know?
So I guess the question is, what is AI? Do you think AI is going to become self-aware, or is going to become somehow a self-conscious entity in some sense?
Well, I mean, I don't really know what consciousness is per se, so I don't know if complexity creates consciousness. If it gets complex enough, does it link into the greater consciousness system or whatever, you know?
Could it be that it's capable of making decisions on its own?
It seems that way. It seems like it's going to get to that point. But it's just like anything with consciousness. How do you don't even know. You know, you'll never really know if it's conscious or not.
So you think it's just going to be a gradual, like frogs in a pot of water? Just gradual. Maybe. You're never going to really see anything change. And then one day...
I think the singularity, it's already probably happened, right? Like they're using AI to make their chips better.
Yes.
You know, so
there are a bunch of big corporations.
It's already almost gone past.
Yeah. I agree.
At that point,
we're way past the crest. Like we're a full slide.
Yeah. And so, you know, some of the dangers, I guess, would be we're already kind of there already anyways. You don't know what the hell to believe. You won't know what's real and what's right. And it's just going to get worse because it's going to get to the point like it's like UFO videos. I don't believe anything I see anymore. Because I can't tell if it's real. But pretty soon it'll just be like any video that you see, you don't know if it's real.
I'm starting to feel that way. What if I never know? Does it matter?
Well, I mean, if it's about information, right?
But it's information about something that happened in the past. It's already not real, no matter whether it's doctored or not.
Yeah.
Sort of. Does it matter?
Because
I don't trust anything
at the
anymore.
end of the day, no, it doesn't really matter unless you're trying to get information from it. And that's the only way we can get it unless we have direct experience.
But in our search for information now, we don't go to a source. We go to Reddit and we read threads. When you want to find information, you don't just look at one thing and believe it or not.
No.
Your brain is starting to operate like AI.
You're gonna have to parse out all the bullshit. You gotta go to a bunch of different sources and figure it out for yourself. I don't know. That's where it's heading, I think.
Well, I kind of think of it like when one of these big corporations finally makes the breakthrough of the thing that starts to self-improve itself.
Yeah.
Kind of like inventing perpetual motion, I guess, for electronics.
Mm-hmm.
Then that entity is going to consume the entirety of the information available on the World Wide Web.
Yeah.
And it is going to become the aggregate of that information. That will become its personality, its past experiences is what it consumes. And so you can kind of extrapolate what its personality will be like by just looking at what's out there.
Yeah.
And then to me, that is a action call to everyone who has any creative inclination whatsoever. If you have something positive, optimistic, joyful, loving, for the fruits of the spirit, whatever you want to call it, start putting it out there in whatever format. Doesn't matter, because we are creating whatever comes next.
Yeah, because we want it to be joyful.
Yeah. So
that's what we want.
You're doing it.
Well, you too, man.
Fuck yes, I am. And right now, we're doing it together.
We are, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like they say about the people that we elect or who we are as a people, you know? I mean, that's...
Yes.
And so maybe your AI is the same.
Are we going to talk about politics?
No, I don't want to talk about politics.
I don't know. You brought it up. It would be the first time, I think, so far in any conversation.
I mean...
I have super surprising things to say about politics.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm not going to say them right now because I also don't want to talk about them.
Yeah.
One day I will. Something was making me want to talk about Barbara Brennan earlier.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Barbara Brennan?
Mm-mm.
Hands of Light, Light Emerging,
Mm-mm.
Core Light Healing. It's a metaphysical healer.
Okay.
And the books, right, like medical textbooks, but they're all about everything beyond the physical body. So interesting.
Yeah.
Probably the reason that I thought about it is because I am so side trailing right now, but telepathy tapes.
Yeah, let's
you
talk
told
about
me about
that.
telepathy tapes.
Yeah. Did it blow your mind?
It goes beyond that.
Yeah.
It blew my mind, but
yeah.
I'm trying not to say that anymore because now I'm picturing brains all over the wall.
Yeah. Right.
There is a lot of really interesting things that I'm going to be looking at, but one of the coolest connections was with Barbara Brennan.
Uh-huh.
Light Emerging is my favorite book. It's the middle book in the series. Yeah. As you get into the episode 7, episode 8 of the telepathy tapes, she starts to talk about it in this metaphysical way, and she starts to talk about healing and some of these kids healing each other.
Right. Yeah.
Conversations on the hill.
Yeah.
All these different things that are happening in the metaphysical world, and my awareness went to Light Emerging because it is the same world Barbara Brennan is describing.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, those books are extreme metaphysical books, but what they propose to me, I don't see any reason to not believe it.
All the things that I've been reading about my whole life, because I'm a seeker, I guess. I've always been seeking.
Ooh.
And I started...
He calls himself the seeker.
I'm the seeker, yes. But, I'm looking. I've always been looking. And I think a lot of people are always, there's a lot of people out there that are curious about what is going on. But at the same time, I'm skeptical. And I just because you tell me, whatever you want, whatever metaphysical thing doesn't mean religion. That didn't work for me. That doesn't work for me.
Paige.
Yeah.
Why seek? Why are you a seeker?
I guess because I want to know.
Want to know what?
I woke up in this planet, this beautiful planet, and I'm like looking around going, how did I get here? Like what?
How old are you?
I'm 48.
48.
Yeah.
You woke up on this planet 48 years ago.
Yeah.
How long have you been asking yourself, sitting up and rubbing your eyes and saying, what the fuck is going on?
God, well, I think I was probably like 7 or something, you know?
Are you serious? You became like consciously self-aware when
I
you were
remember
7?
when I realized that I was going to die, the first time I realized that. And I think that was like, what? Like a terror.
Why did you realize? What made you realize
I
it?
don't know. I don't remember why.
Just an awareness that
I
came
just was like,
Yeah.
this doesn't have anything to do with that. But there was realizations happening. I think I might have been even in kindergarten before, like preschool or something. And I had to get up. And I don't know why I remember this, but I remember going, damn, I'm going to have to go to school for another 12 years. I had a realization. That sucks. You know, so I had all these little realizations, and then probably around then, I just like realized that I was going to die. And then that was like terrifying. I didn't really probably think about it too much until I was in like high school, and I saw a book at my friend's house. It was just the universe. It was like all the pictures of the galaxies and all that. And then that just tripped me out, you know, because before, I mean, the internet wasn't really, you know, this was like 1992 or something.
Your stage got huge.
I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And then, so anyways, then I just started investigating. At first I thought like, if I can understand the universe, then I can understand, you know, that'll lead me to where, and so I, you know, I didn't become a physicist or anything, but I learned layman's terms, and I went through the double slit experiments and all of that, which were crazy. And
Did you read Dance of the Photons?
I have not read that. No.
I randomly found it in the library.
Yeah.
And it's like straddles the world between, you know, there's some of the books that oversimplify it. So there's no factual data in there, but you can kind of understand it. Then there's the ones that are just pure factual data and not possible to understand.
Right.
This one's in between, where I have to read chapters that I don't really understand to get to the nuggets that I do, but it helped to develop my world about the actual structure of quantum physics.
Right.
And the movement of light particles and how they interact and
Yeah.
why things are the way they are.
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't read it again. It was it was exhausting, but worth it.
I've not read that book,
Yeah.
but I've read a lot of books about it. And
Okay, so what's your favorite book on that topic, on the topic of quantum entanglement or whatever?
Oh, well, quantum, I mean,
Quantum physics, the world of existence.
an easy one was The Universe in a Nutshell by Stephen Hawking. Was pretty good. There was one by Brian Greene, which I don't remember exactly what the name of that book it was called. Those two were good because it was kind of like you were saying, it wasn't like super complex where you had to like know math or anything to try to understand it. I used to do jiu-jitsu, and we had a bunch of guys that we would roll with, and one of my friends there, we would just talk about this, what we're talking about right now, and like we would just have these great conversations. And then he got all excited about it and then went to school, and he's now got a PhD in physics. So he went the full way, you know?
Yes. If I was going to do that, it would be psychology.
Yeah. That's where I started going. And then I started listening to like Alan Watts.
Yes.
And I love what Alan Watts says. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, you take a telescope and you can look out and you keep zooming out and there's more out there. And then he says, you take that telescope and you point it inside and you keep pointing it inside. He says, just keeps running away from you. He said, it wouldn't do that if you didn't chase it.
Yep.
And I was like, wow.
Alan Watts, the thing that taught me meditation. Like,
Yeah.
really, that's Alan Watts' whole thing is listen for all the interest, but it's this wildly entertaining mental joyride that just teaches you how to meditate. That's it.
Yeah.
Which is all just a mind state. Nothing matters. Here we are.
Dude, I drove around in my car for work and listened to Alan Watts for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And the beauty of Alan Watts was he would say something, and it's like, I've listened to it over and over because there's so much in just one sentence for you to think about, you know. It changed my whole, you know, everything.
Shape of your world, your paradigm.
Yeah.
Same.
It really did.
You ever listen to Osho? He's like Alan Watts, except extremely more farther into the spiritual.
Yeah.
Like he was a spiritual guru.
Yeah.
Also, a little scandal, you know. He had some scandal, cult style scandal and stuff towards the end of his
Was he the guy who was
situation.
over in
here in Oregon. Yeah.
And he had all the homeless people that came up there, and that didn't turn out too well.
Didn't turn out too well. And there's a lot of, whatever. And to me, it's like, I don't really care. All of the recordings that I listen to are all from before that. When he's doing his stuff in India. And it's just, don't go join a community that is just like, free love and stuff. It creates drama and, whatever. It's just like you get what you ask for. But listen to the way he talks about consciousness and awareness and life and the empty boat and being present fully, and your life will change. It's like Alan Watts, where Alan Watts will lays a great foundation. Osho just takes it to deep places. Alan Watts does too. But anyway.
Like I said, I took the telescope and then pointed it the other direction.
As far in as you go.
So I went, I did the physics thing and I went out.
Yeah.
And then I went
biology.
I went big, and then I went small into the quantum, and I remember the first time I heard about the double slit experiment and all of that. And then talked to my buddy now who's got the PhD, and he's like, I don't think he thinks it's magical for some reason,
You're saying he doesn't see magic?
He doesn't. He's saying what all the other scientist people are saying.
Yeah.
Well, you got to measure it, and when you measure it, that affects it. Yes. And I understand that. But I don't understand when you turn the measuring device off.
Yes.
And the Niels Bohr Einstein interpretation was kind of saying that it was like affected by consciousness or the observer, whatever that means. And then I think they went away from that.
Do you believe that when no one's in the kitchen itself ceases to be in existence? It enters a quantum state?
Well, I think about that, and
I'm wondering if that's kind of what you're saying.
I think that there's a good chance that happens. I think.
Doesn't change anything if it does.
It doesn't change it. Well, so I mean, there's so many ways that we were talking about the telepathy tapes, and this all leads to everything that we're talking about has led me to the telepathy tapes,
and everything leads to everything else.
And it all leads to
perfect.
It's one unbroken line.
I can't. The telepathy. I want to do an entire episode that is a roundtable about the telepathy tapes. Because I've already have people who are calling me up, being like, "It's a scam. I've done some research. It's not real. I fucking love it, dude." Because there's so much out there against it, which is what the telepathy tapes talks about. And so I'm just like, let's listen to more episodes.
What do they say is the scam?
It usually centers around the reader boards, the speller boards.
But they're not doing that.
I know. But there's so much.
Videos.
When you Google it, you're gonna see, this is a scam. This isn't real for whatever reason. And I'm just like, bro, like, I want this challenge. I want to be challenged because I'm going to choose to believe things. That's what I want to do. Until I have a reason not to, and give me a reason, please, because I don't want to believe bullshit. But this is making me research it. So I'm going to do research. I've got a couple other people that are going to do research. And then I just want to sit down with anyone who wants to and just be like, what do you think? Is this shit real? And if so, what does it mean for everyone? Like, what does it mean about reality? Everything's changed.
And like I was saying, like, you can listen to Osho, or you can listen to Alan Watts, or you can study physics or whatever,
or listen to like any of the million new podcast guys who are talking, like Eric Godsey and Marcus Aurelius. What is his name? Marcus, come on. Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Shit. Okay. Anyway.
It's almost like if this is something that can be put into a real, you can merge scientific and you can prove that this is actually something that's happening for real, which is what I think they're going to do in like the movie or the documentary.
It's happening right now. I think that's the coolest thing to me is it's just like, tell me you don't want to reach out and be like, hey, can I help? I want to help.
Trust me. I've thought about emailing them and been like, listen, I'll take some time off. What do you need? I got to see this for myself.
Not even that. Just like, I want to collaborate, help make it a little more bigger.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is,
I'm just going to do it anyway.
Just do it.
After I do research and then have the episode that's the actual talk about it, because I do want to really look at it. But to me, I totally cut you off. But I just want to say, if it's not real, all of these testimonies, all of these stories, all of this stuff that she's gathering, and she's doing such a good job. If it's fake, she's brilliant. How could you fake any part of any of this?
Like you said, first of all, there would have to be nonverbal speakers involved in it. And even if they're, Because I watched the video. They got videos. I paid the $10.
You did. And are they convincing?
I had to see, but I wanted to see it with my own eyes.
Is mom really always in the room right next to him and it never actually is separated?
No.
Because that's what all the naysayers say.
No. One of the kids has like an iPad. And the mom's in the room, but she's standing next to the guy with her iPad.
Yeah.
And she does a random number generator, and he's sitting over, and this kid has his iPod, he's sitting on the couch, he puts like a blanket over his head. And then she goes, okay, I got the number. And then he's like, 5, 6, he's typing it. He types it really hard. Pow, pow, pow. But it's like 5, 6, 9, 8, 7.
And it's 100% always exactly.
Random word.
Yeah.
Some random word that doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, let's try a random word. And then like there's no way this kid saw it.
Yeah.
There's just no way. And he just types it right out with a blanket over his head.
And all of that is really cool. But the thing that makes it next level, the thing that makes it the earth is round, is that every single nonverbal person who becomes able to communicate because of spelling says the exact same things.
Right.
Already knows everybody else.
Yeah.
They all know things that they shouldn't know. And they're all just like, why are we not in our age appropriate school? Because like we can understand it.
Yeah. I know.
Every single one of them.
I know. It's crazy. It's like, can you imagine though, like being a fully like aware person and then being locked, imprisoned in a body that does all this craziness and can't speak and can't communicate.
And this is what made me think of Barbara Brennan and the light emerging, because she talks a lot about mental disorders, like everything is just wrong in the body. And she's like, there's this whole process in conception where the mom and the dad are spiritually ready, energetically ready, and the whole creation, the forming of the body, the energy body happens before conception.
Yeah.
And this is Barbara Brennan. Like I'm agnostic about all this stuff, but it's so cool. I'm going to chase it to whatever conclusion I find.
Yeah.
But and then when everything is ready, then the conception happens, because then now the spirit body is ready to start gathering all the elements from its environment to create its avatar, physical avatar.
Yeah.
And in some situations, there is some sort of an emotional trauma that energetically severs some of the connections that are like umbilical cord connections, but that this spirit body has to the physical body. And so it's never able to actually seat into the body.
Right.
And so it lives outside of that body.
Right.
And that's the way they describe it. They're just like, I didn't even know that I had hands. Like I'm in this body, but I can't feel it. I can't really do anything. I flap my arms because I need to know where they are.
Right. Yeah.
That's why they, you know, that's where it all comes from. But they exist in this energy plane or this whatever. And to them, it's just like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And anybody else can too. Yeah. That to me is the really cool part.
Right.
This means that this is the nature of the universe that we inhabit.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's true.
If it's true. My probability meter is leaning, but the door's still open.
My wanna believe it meter is all the way redlined.
Yeah, my wanna believe it is all, it's all, you always gotta put in probabilities and the door is still open to be proven wrong. But what I was gonna say is that like, not only have I listened to the telepathy tapes, but like I was telling you out there, I've listened to numerous interviews with Kai Dickens, the person who did the podcast, and with Dr. Diane Powell, who's the person who kind of started doing this years and years ago and discovered this. Actually, on the way over here, I was listening to Kai Dickens with Rick Rubin, the music producer. He has a podcast. But she's talking about people all over the world are messaging her. She's like, talks about how for it to be fake, it's a conspiracy on levels that are insane, because there's so many people that would have to be involved in it. And then on top of it, the people who are saying, oh, it's not real, it's just subtle communications that the mom's giving to I'm like, that's almost crazier than telepathy. Like, I'm blinking in a certain way and you're picking that up to know a random number generator. Like, that makes no sense at all. That seems more outlandish than telepathy, I think. And also they'll talk about each other, like the Dr. Powell will talk about her. And Dr. Powell says, Kai's completely sold that this is 100% real.
Obviously.
And she's like, I have to be a little bit more laid back because I'm the scientist here. and I have to,
Because that's the culture we live in.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
But she 100%, this is happening. I feel like you can feel when someone's full of shit. You know what I mean? There's something about it that rubs you the wrong way. You're like, no, I don't know if I believe this person. But when I listen to everything I've ever listened to her, it's just pure, genuine, like, that's the feeling that I get.
I feel like I have come to the point where I can tell if someone is sincere or not.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And I trust myself.
Yeah.
Like I can still be duped.
Absolutely.
I guess,
yeah. But I don't,
but
you said, this is the biggest duper. We're all being duped times a million.
The reason that I can is because I stopped trying to figure out what I should and shouldn't do and started listening to whatever the fuck voice comes from my stomach.
Yeah.
Just that gut feeling.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or otherwise, just do it.
Your intuitive part of your...
Stop second guessing, just go. go. And the more I've come in tune, because at first you have to be like, fuck up really bad and be like, okay, that's a different feeling. That's my brain tricking me, whatever. And eventually you come to the point where you can feel it. Yeah. Like just the gentlest breeze, always blowing you, nudging you. Every time you look for it, it's just like nudging you and saying, hey. Yeah. And that's the same feeling as always talking when I'm listening to something like this, because it's like you have a million different cues and different things that your brain is pattern recognition on all of it. Yeah. And your emotions then spit out that gut feeling. So I follow it. Yeah. So I just don't get tricked anymore. Yeah. Well, and sometimes I walk into situations where it's a questionable the outcome will be. And now I know, like, I'm always ready to accept any outcome. Yeah. So good. I just learned a lesson. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, right. Maybe that's the problem. Yeah. I've redefined the outcome that makes me feel successful to be literally anything.
Yeah, right. So you're always successful. Yeah.
That's why I'm wearing rose-colored glasses.
Right.
This seriously makes your whole face... Like, I don't recognize you. When I put these on, I'm looking at someone I don't recognize.
Oh, really?
It's so weird. None of these other glasses did that.
That's funny.
It literally changes the shape of your face. Maybe it's the mushrooms I ate. I didn't eat any mushrooms, okay? That was just humor. I know I look like someone, now that I'm on video and maybe someone will see this, I look like someone who probably did eat mushrooms, but I didn't. Yeah. Haven't for like months.
I ate so many mushrooms at Fish Mexico that they didn't work anymore. 4 nights of eating mushrooms. The 4th night, it's like, nope, not going to work.
Why do it? Those are balance classes.
Yeah.
I think so. Or like thought, cognition.
Yeah. Maybe. Cool. I could use that. Mushrooms. I don't do like heroic doses. I just do like a little
bump.
Right now I have some gummies and they're perfect because I never got to like that awkward stage where you just feel a little bit weird. These were it was just a perfect slide. Yeah. It just enhanced the music just a little bit, you know. That's where I want to be.
I basically don't do it anymore because to me, a little bit like that just enhances my senses. So it's chaotic. It's too much. Yeah. And then I have to just be in perfect, complete silence and like whatever. And then it can flow. And then sometimes I get wild and crazy and have just rambunctious fun. But to me, it's just not worth that uncomfortable intensity. Yeah. If I'm going to do it, it's going to be, 2.5 minimum, maybe 4.5. Like I want to go.
I do it recreationally.
To just experience that. Like I feel like every time I do it, it dissolves the separator between my conscious and subconscious. Yeah. And I'm just floating in this world of subconscious and everything starts to make sense with time. So but it's a violent way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you got to climb the mountain to get up to see the view and slide down the other end,
It's you.
Oh, there you are.
I'm telling you what, dude, just the light filtering different light out changes what everything looks like. Yeah. And this is what is amazing to me. I wear a different color every time I go on this walk.
Yeah. Yeah, these are cool. You got how many different colors here?
I don't know. We just bought the set. Yeah. They're not very expensive. It's just colored plastic. Yeah. I'm sure there's more real ways to do it, but... So we got super derailed from the telepathy tapes.
Yeah, we did.
And we got super into the telepathy tapes. Yeah. And to me, it's a never ending conversation. Like I am so curious to see where this goes. And I want challengers. I want to I want to talk to people who are like, this is bullshit.
So on that note,
yes,
I want to look and see what the naysayers are saying. And all I've ever seen is what I'd said before, that somebody's just like, moving their head in some sort of Morse code way that these kids are like, there's no
Can't
way.
possibly
That's not
be
happening.
scientific.
That there's no possible way that that's happening. One of the videos, someone was doing the facilitated.
Yeah.
And they were like,
spelling
oh,
words.
look, yeah. Oh, no, not there. Okay, yeah. They're like,
Easy to doubt.
yeah. And then there was one where the kid was like putting colored popsicle sticks.
Yeah.
And she was blindfolded. Yeah. And the mom was, for some reason, I don't know why, but like had hold of her head or had her hand on her face. Like she was like, and it was like she was steering her head. And then the yellow was all the way over here. And she was like pushing her head all the way to the, and they're like, oh, which side could it be on? You know, and their head, kid's like,
easy to doubt.
and I'm like, okay, that's fair.
Perfect.
Which is one of the reasons I had to buy the videos, because I was like, if this is all that it is, then maybe they're right. But it wasn't.
When you went through the paywall, you were not a skeptic. You went through the paywall because of what you hoped you would see. What about the person who goes through the paywall knowing that it is not going to be?
Yeah. How
are they going to feel?
I feel like there's things in there. I mean, you can. There's.
Well, you like already aren't sold. It's already not sold.
Yeah,
but let's redo. Take two.
But I feel like, I mean, first of all, it's video, like we were talking about earlier. I mean, who knows, right?
Make your own judgment about it.
You know, but if you're just gonna take it for like you were standing there and seeing that, you know, I think there's some things that are just, how could they possibly know that?
Even for a skeptic, it would take a level of mental gymnastics that wouldn't be comfortable.
Yeah, like it's like a magic trick, but I don't know how it's done.
You cannot find the wires.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like maybe it's something like that.
And to me, if it's a magic trick, if it really is, all of these scientists that she keeps interviewing that are along for all these from different fields, like all these people that are starting to be gathered in this in this snowball effect of people that are interested in this. Yeah, every one of them are colluding.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's
why?
Not.
And it's not professional. Yeah. It's like she just started doing this and now it's becoming more and more professional because she's got a whole team now.
Yeah, right.
It's so rawly authentic.
And she says it in one of the, I've listened to so many, I don't know if it's in a podcast or I don't know if it's an interview, but she's like, why is this just not known?
It will be.
It's 2025. Like, how do we not know this already? We know all of this stuff, but we don't know this, you know?
But Paige, every single field has that same element in physics. Why don't we know that things can be two different things at the same time or nothing?
Yeah.
Why don't we already know that there is some sort of a field that communicates all around us faster than light? Everything in existence is communicating with everything else in existence in real time.
Well,
why don't we know all these things? It's because we're just discovering.
I'll tell you about that. Remember the Higgs boson? I don't know if you remember when the Higgs boson, they were all excited about the Higgs boson.
I've read little bits and pieces.
My understanding on the Higgs boson, right, is that like you've got the periodic table of elements and you can make anything with that. It's complete, right? You put this together with that and that creates you know like what the ingredients
anything that exists comes from those elements.
So there's not like some new thing that you're like, because you can always break it down and say, well, this is what pieces of all of this or whatever, you know. So they had the periodic table of elements for quantum particles, and they had like the Higgs boson was like predicted, but they couldn't ever find it. And so then when they found it, they were like, this is great, because now this like completes our table of the periodic, you know, elements of quantum particles. So now what we know is that there's not a ghost particle or something, because if it was there, we could see it and we would measure it. And then he had this chart, like it could be just so low of a frequency that it doesn't interact with us, or it's so high of a frequency that it basically, it just wouldn't even interact with our world that we're living in. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
You lost me somewhere, bro. Like, I mean, the words do, and I'm just not, I don't follow. And I'm not super clear on what Higgs, it's a type of light particle, right?
At the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is what this guy said, okay? Whatever, I think
lay it on me.
Whoever, he was saying it basically takes away God and spirituality or like any kind of physical things that could be floating around in the world. They know everything that's in the container, you know what I mean? So this is where they stand with the physical materialism world. But what I'm trying to say is like, and what the telepathy tapes are saying is that there's non-physical things that are still you can't measure them with physics. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
Does that make sense?
That now it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I got lost because I thought you were trying to explain a concept the way you see it to me, and you were trying to explain the way a nihilistic scientist would see it.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense now.
And the way they were saying
Bro,
that,
I agree.
it is. Yeah.
Like, to me, that's the beauty of quantum physics. That's the beauty of all of these books about these things that I can't really quite wrap my mind around, is that they suggest that there's something beyond what we can understand. I believe that to be true.
Right.
And so to me, it's
like
like
immeasurable
until you disprove it.
Yeah.
It is proof.
Yeah.
The fact that there's not a better explanation has to be the proof. And what I'm seeing happen in the world around me is I'm starting to see science and religion start to glance sideways at each other, and start to maybe a little flirting, even like starting to take an interest. And I'm seeing some of these like telepathy tapes, bro. That's philosophy and science coming head on collision course. And that's everything is going to go there.
Yeah. Can you imagine if we can like put it into the scientific rigor, set up all the parameters to where, okay, there's no way they can cheat, you know, because that's what they say. Every time anybody says they have telepathy, once they get into a scientific room where it always fails, is what they say. You know?
I don't want to do the science part of it.
Yeah.
I just want to read about what other people do.
And
I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I want to philosophize about it. I want to think about it. And I want to think about what it means for me and see how it shifts the way I see myself, the way I see the world around me, because that's what changes everything.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, I've got to be able to look at it from the perspective of the naysayers who are saying, this is bullshit. When you're looking at the same video and you're saying, how can you deny this?
Yeah.
If people like you and me can figure out a way to stop arguing with those people, and what does it hurt? They already see it the way they see it. What does it hurt to agree with them? To be like, yeah, okay, I can see how you'd be skeptical, but I don't really understand it.
Yeah.
What do you see that makes it feel skeptical to you? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think of it as like, I really got these concepts from Eric Godsey, listening to Eric Godsey's The Myths That Make Us podcast.
Yeah.
Because he talks about shifting between worldviews.
Yeah.
It just put a language to what was growing and developing inside me anyway.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you're a world traveler.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just like, I mean, what fires you up more than talking about some podcast you're hearing about, some research someone else is doing? That it's like multiple levels because it's a world you've never explored before. And so you're just like, fuck, man, I'm going.
Can I tell you how I got here?
How you found the telepathy tapes?
Yeah. Okay, well, besides like we kind of talked about like, you know, way back, but what happened was like all of the UFO people that are coming out, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like testifying in front of Congress. And
Congress is saying, no, why not?
Yeah, but some of Congress is saying yes.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right, don't let me derail you.
So I showed my wife, blew her mind with like the Nimitz tapes or whatever, you know, the Tic Tac UFO in 2004. There's fighter pilot.
Seen that video.
Yeah. And he testified in front of Congress. And so anyways, I'm like, wow, these people are like, they're not lying.
They're not crazy.
They're not crazy. They're not a bunch of
career professionals.
They're not a bunch of, these guys are like, and so I got really interested in it. And I started, and now the more and more whistleblower people are coming out from the, you know, cause I'm like, they say, oh, who are these people like that are the guards or whatever that are standing there guarding the UFO? Like, these are people too. You know what I mean? Like, where are they at? Right. Like, why are they not coming out? Well, finally, like the Jake Barber guy came out with the egg UFO, and he was talking about how when he went to pick this egg thing up, it like Bluetooth connected to his consciousness, and he started weeping and crying and all of this stuff. And I was like, wow, that's weird. What's going on there? You know? And then he tells this whole story, and he's like a 2.5 hour interview with this guy. And once again, my bullshit meter with this guy was, you know, I felt like he was telling the truth.
Yeah. And when you know.
I don't know 100%.
Could be
wrong.
But
my bullshit meter says this guy is not, he speaks in a way that is like, he's not.
But also.
Yeah.
We have little plastic boxes that we can buy for $10.99.
Yeah.
That will pick up communication signals from around the world.
Yeah.
Our brains are the most advanced technology. They're beyond they're beyond anything that humans could possibly imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Why the fuck wouldn't they be able to pick up any bandwidth they want to?
It's a great point. So
to your point.
Before though, I was just interested in the UAP, I was like, wow, UAPs are, this is crazy.
UFOs,
UFOs, UAPs,
Shit.
NHI, whatever they want to call
millennial.
it. But they,
You see yourself as a millennial, don't you?
yeah, no. No, don't get me started on my kids.
You know I could just derail. Okay, continue. Don't let it happen.
So anyways, so then this guy, the newest guy came out, and I've started, I listened to a podcast like called the UFO Rabbit Hole, which was really cool. And this girl's very like, she just takes you through all of like, there's so much, it really is a rabbit hole. But anyways, what got me here was, I was like, wow, UFO, this is crazy. Are UFOs are real? This is nuts. And then this guy is talking about, he picked this egg thing up with a helicopter and it like connected to his consciousness. And he was like, all he could feel was like love and like this female presence with a little bit of sadness. But he was like, he's never experienced anything like that. And that's what this guy did. Was like, I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but he would go out with a helicopter. He was hired by some aerospace company to go out and 90% of the time he would just retrieve shit that was out in like the air bases or whatever. But he said like 10% of the time it was this weird, these octagon crafts and things that look like a giant egg the size of an SUV, and this happened to him. And some way or another, he was talking about how like, the way that they connect with these things is through they call them psionic assets, and psionic assets are basically remote viewers, psychic psi abilities, which they meditate, get into a deep meditation, and they send positive, loving affirmations out, and they connect to these UFOs to draw them in. And this sounds batshit crazy.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm going, what? I'm starting to think about like psychic. I have heard something about the government having psychic stuff.
This is the podcast you're talking about.
This is Jake Barber. He does an interview.
Okay. So this guy is saying that the government is making use of these psychics.
Yeah.
That these are government programs, that this is okay. So to me, like I grew up listening to Coast, George Norrie, Art Bell, conspiracy. My dad goes to the Bigfoot convention every year, and he has written a book, literally, like a compiled of eyewitness, whatever.
Yeah.
To me, I see something like the telepathy tapes, and it makes all of that stuff just get really dim and uninteresting because you can't prove it. People
exactly
spend their lives throwing themselves against this wall. And it's like, the truth is, I believe every bit of it. Yeah. I just do, because why not? But
you're never going to see, a Bigfoot,
And who cares?
Yeah.
What does it change? It doesn't change anything. But the reality of telepathic communication in nonverbal autistic people, that's a real present.
Yeah. That's something that's happening.
Completely different. And so to me, it's just like, well, how would I not be putting everything I've got into researching this and just seeing what is this? Because that means I can do it.
Yeah. Right. Well,
I think we can. I think we can.
And I think we can. But
I believe I can too.
But
read Barbara Brennan.
Yeah.
And she explains exactly how. It's just like, it's so elementary.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And I wish that I could tap into the world that she can, but I believe that someday I'll be able to.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep looking and listening and reading.
Yeah.
And the telepathy tapes.
Yeah. But
fits it all.
It basically, well, just real fast. So just to get to the telepathy tapes. So that was what got me thinking about psychic stuff, right?
So bad at
so then I looked up the CIA papers.
Okay.
And I read the CIA papers, the Project Stargate or Stargaze or whatever that was, where they describe all of this, the consciousness field and declassified CIA, I was like, what the hell? This is even more crazy. And then I'm like Googling, trying to find more information, which led me to these telepathy tapes, which then is what you're saying. Now all of a sudden there's like something that's tangible It's not just people talking about it. It's like, I mean, it is, but it's actually something that is tangible, that it can be provable, that is right here, which now I don't even care about UFOs anymore. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, UFOs, whatever. This is everything. If this is true, you know what I mean? This is everything.
You're saying that your deep dive into UFOs led you to the telepathy tapes.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, that's how I got here, and completely. Then I don't care about UFOs. I don't care anymore. It's not interesting. The interesting thing is this.
Is it the same reason that I said? Like, why is it not interesting? Why are UFOs not interesting to you? Because both could be interesting at the same time.
Well, they are interesting, but if you put them in a scale of a hierarchy scale,
back burner.
This is the answer to the age-old question of basically life after death. You know,
I mean
that's
what
what
nutshell, brother.
That's what it means to me. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. So if that and so UFOs, whatever. If this is true, it changes everything, because now we kind of know.
And if UFOs were this accessible, instead of just ghost stories to chase around, then we'd be chasing
blurry photos. Yeah,
because they'd exactly.
Like, just like Bigfoot, they're always blurry, man.
Don't get me started about Bigfoot, because that's what I would. Yeah, because my dad still calls me up every once in a while, and he's just like, "Oh, you got to see this new picture," and he said that he is naive, intentionally naive.
Yeah,
that is something that stuck with me, and that is how I also try to live. I want to be intentionally naive. Just push it up further than you think, because these are not the best stands.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I hear a story like the telepathy tapes, I'm always going to default. Yeah. If my senses are not, my alarm bells aren't ringing, I'm going to default to believe it. I learned it from him, so bless his heart.
Yeah.
But every time he sends me the picture, I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, where's the thing that was so obvious you can't miss it? It's a speck. I don't know. I don't see it.
Yeah. Same with UFOs. What is Mitch Hedberg's? Maybe Bigfoot's just blurry. Maybe he's just blurry.
I love Mitch Hedberg.
It's scary because there's a blurry creature running around.
Okay, but it just makes perfect sense, and it resonates with how I feel that telepathy tapes and light emerging and David Deutsch, Fabric of Reality, Infinity, To Infinity and Beyond, whatever. Yeah. All of the books that are about the fabric of the joyful universe around us, what Alan Watts described, every single one of those makes me not give a shit about anything else. And I'm just like, I can sit here and wear these glasses and walk through the woods. And if I do it 10,000 times, maybe the 10,001st time, I'm going to see a glimmer of something. Yeah. And then as I'm doing that, I'm starting to learn it's not the glimmer of something I'm looking for. Yeah. I'm just looking to see more deeply what I already see. Right. And as you step further and further into this like mind fuck, this mind game, everything just becomes peaceful and joyful, and your skin fits. And anyway.
Yeah. No, totally, man.
I just love derailing conversations. I just love this shit.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
It's fun, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean,
okay. Well, do you want to be part of a roundtable specifically about telepathy tapes, like with naysayers, with like whatever? Like, would you want to do that? Or
I mean, yeah, I can. The problem is I don't really have any. I mean, I can talk about it, but
that's all anyone can do.
But
that's why I like to record it.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not there. I'm not like, I don't have any proof. All I have is videos and
you know
what other people are saying. You know, I've got to, if I could just experience it for myself, that would be,
Well, read Light Emerging.
Yeah.
Sometime when you have time.
Yeah.
And you can just take it chapter by chapter. Every chapter is a different topic.
Right.
You learn things about relationship that you never realized you could learn.
Right.
But she tells you how to practice so that you can see it.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to.
Yeah.
But what I really want to do is, I don't want to find that shit by myself. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on the mountaintop.
Yeah.
I want to be in community.
Right.
And so I'm not going to architect it. I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
I don't need to find it.
Well, it's possible that, it's your natural state anyways,
We'll see. We'll see. But who cares? Why find it? Why are we so focused on this? Why is this so interesting to us?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, yeah. Why is it? Well, like I said, I don't know, because it's, you say you're tossed into this world and it's just this gigantic mystery. And
it kind of feels like rape a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
being born, being alive in the universe, and being inundated with vibrations for your entire life without any say in the matter.
Yeah. And that's part of the whole thing is like, you know, you're like out here and this world is brutal.
It is.
And especially, you know, like, you know, love and light, and it's a universe of love. And then I like watch, you know, animals out in Africa being eaten alive, screaming while they're just being, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like nature. It's scary. It's like brutal. We live in a universe where everything has to eat the other thing to survive, which is crazy. It doesn't sound like love and light, even if you're eating yourself, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Metaphorically, you know, if we're all the same thing, but there's ways to look at the world like, man, it doesn't feel love and light, and the world is brutal, and you know, so why are we here? I don't know, to experience. I guess if it was just joyful bliss.
When you look around you, do you see a brutal world?
I think you can see whatever.
What do you see?
What do I see?
When you look around you, when you open your eyes and look around, take stock of what is now.
Yeah.
What do you see?
I see beauty, and I'm amazed at most of the things that I see. But I'm also, you know, I see the other side too, you know. So I'm kind of in the middle. I see the brutality of the world. And I go through phases, I feel like, in my life where I'm more tuned to the beauty and the mystery and the amazing part of it. And then I flip over and I'll go into the other side. You know, certain people that they're just too much in this world sometimes. You know, people get too far into this world. It's not a good place to be, because you can't see.
You mean like in the things?
You're just in like your reality. You're like in your job and driving in the stoplight, and the guy's driving next to me, and I got to pay my bills in this TV show, and this is my whole life, and this is all. You're like too much in the world. I think that could be pretty
traumatic,
you know, and so you got to be able to deal with that, and then hopefully elevate yourself so you can see, kind of zoom out a little bit, maybe.
That makes me think of a mental image I had for life. It was like a tsunami wave. I would imagine myself as like a little speck, a little stick, tiny driftwood stick in a tsunami tidal wave that is just moving, picking up superstructures and moving them miles away.
Yeah.
And this little speck is right here.
Yeah.
And this little other speck next to it, and this little other speck here, and they're all just like whatever. And they feel like they have some autonomy in life, but really they're just in this tidal wave. They really don't have any autonomy, and life is so terrifying for those specks because they don't have any autonomy, because
they're just
being
going
carried
along
in this unstoppable force, and they keep smashing into everything.
Yeah.
And then as they start to wake up, they realize that not only are they the speck, but they're also the tidal wave, and it's all about the story they're telling inside their brain. Are they the speck or are they the tidal wave?
Yeah.
Because the only thing scary is the fear of what could happen.
Right.
It's never what's happening now. Never.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Right now, you can handle everything that you're dealing with right now. Unless someone's literally in the act of killing you. Yeah. And then guess what?
Unless you're getting eaten alive by lions.
But if you're getting eaten alive by lions, your body has a billion mechanisms that kick in to rescue your ass.
Yeah.
The only thing that chokes you to death is your fear of what you are imagining is going to happen, because a physical body is going to rot someday anyway. It's
true. Yeah.
And your pain receptors will dull and your brain dulls. And if you just let it happen, you can't do anything about it anyway. Yeah. The truth is, right now,
things aren't so bad. Yeah. I think about that a lot, you know, but I'll be like, oh, because you get caught up in the future, or you get caught in the past. But even if you have a problem looming, like I got a problem in the cath lab over there, I could worry about it. Yeah. But right now,
the rat race.
Right now, I don't have that problem.
Right now, you're sitting here talking to me.
Yeah, I don't have that, and it's a great way to view it, and it does. That's living in that moment thing is, you know, it's a real thing. It's true. You know,
and I've got schedule conflicts down at a project we're doing at UFO on the UFO campus.
Yeah.
The big commercial project with like these expensive equipment coming in, and everything is by schedule, and one little thing happens and then it starts to, and it's just, and I'm just like, but it's not real. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
When I'm in that moment,
Yeah.
all of my energy, mental focus, everything is going to be able to be dedicated to continuing the problem solving as we go forward.
Right. Exactly.
Because right now, none of it is.
Yeah.
It's all right here talking to you.
Yep. Exactly.
And that to me is why when I look around me, I just see a joyful universe.
Yeah. Well,
there's nothing scary.
Yeah.
And ask me again when I'm out on my walk in the woods and a fucking cougar just jumped my ass and I'm getting torn to shreds. Ask me then.
Yeah.
But what I'm working on is being so conscious of that, so aware of that when that moment comes, I am still conscious that in this moment, everything is okay.
Well, that's what Buddha said. Someone asked him, like, what if someone comes out and hits you in the head with a stick? And he goes, oh, that would be wood hitting bone. Like that's what that would be.
What is not what you're afraid of.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
If a lion attacks you, then if you're in the proper state of mind.
When you're in the proper state of mind, you realize that there's no such thing as death. Yeah. Because on the other side of every death is birth.
Right.
So what am I worried about?
Which is something that Alan Watts, he put it in a great way where he was saying, like, everything, we see the cycles in the world, right? Everything's cyclic.
Yes.
He says, but some things are slower. You can see the curve of, the seasons is a slower curve than maybe other things. But there's things that are way slower than that.
Yep.
Like birth and death. They're, those are like long arches. And I was like, yeah, he's totally right. Like, why would life be the only thing that is like not cyclical when we live in a cyclical universe, But the other problem that I used to have, or now I'm with telepathy tapes, I'm thinking maybe this isn't the case anymore. But I was like, okay, yeah, it starts over. If maybe I lived like gazillion lives before this, but I don't remember any of them.
Yep.
Also ties into the right now thing. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what happened before, but I was just kind of sad that I feel like there's people that I love and that I care about and I want to experience life with, for them to be gone forever was a little heartbreaking for me to think about. It'd be better if I start over again with these people and we get to, but maybe, just maybe, go from the telepathy tapes and now from a lot of other things. It's almost like there's an Akashic records that's of information. So really what maybe that means is that all of your experiences, you get to keep all of that. It's still there. It's just, you're not going to be able to access it here, but you can access it afterwards. You know what I mean? It's always
Akashic
there.
records.
Yeah.
Now that term is officially on this show. And I'm actually glad, because I think that is a catch-all term that refers to, they even refer to it in the telepathy tapes.
Yeah.
It's a catch-all term that refers to the plane of existence that's outside of the physical, the emotional, whatever.
And that came from like Buddhism.
Barbara Brennan talks about it.
Yeah.
Every one of these different disciplines talks about it.
Buddhism is like, to me, it's like the scientific method of looking inward.
Yep.
But they've only been doing it for, thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
And they came up with these things through meditation or,
Yeah. And someday I'm going to be ready to have the conversation about why it is that you can bypass all that shit without cheating somehow.
Yeah.
Because Alan Watts, that's where I started that foundation.
Yeah.
But you don't need to go and spend 30 years on a mountaintop to become completely one with everything.
Yeah.
Which is the same as being one with yourself.
Yeah.
You don't even need to not have a day job.
Yeah.
You just need to learn how to just listen to Alan Watts.
Yeah.
And practice realizing that we're all just a bunch of squiggles on a string.
Yeah.
And everything is just having fun.
Yeah.
We're here to
It's
have
dancing.
fun.
It's dancing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, to me, that is
I
why.
feel like this is what the truth. I feel like it's just everywhere. It's blatantly everyone. Has been saying it forever.
Well, I want to normalize that feeling.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of people out there that are trying to normalize that feeling. That's also how I feel.
Yeah.
I think this is all just real.
Yeah.
The flat 3-dimensional reality that we have been aware of up until now is just a skin.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to look deeper.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to do that, and I'm going to figure out as I go. And the beautiful thing about it is I don't have to figure anything out, because every one of these books.
Yeah.
You read Chasing the Wild Pendulum by Itzhak Ben Tov.
Yeah.
I think that will tickle a deep spiritual, psychological itch. Just a beautiful look at what is the nature in a metaphysical sense and spiritual sense, kind of like going and finding God and really going through it, but from a quantum theory like, it's incredible. But why the fuck did I bring that up? I agree with you that it all just is. To me, it seems self-evident. So and every time I find something new, every single time I ask myself, who cares? Yeah. Because I have to remind myself that it doesn't actually matter.
But like I was saying, back to the telepathy tapes, you can find it if you put in the work. But the telepathy tapes would be like a cheat code. You know what I mean? Like, oh, look at that shit.
I think the cheat code is being human. We just have to.
But you can see it like, oh, okay. If that's real, then now we're good.
Yep.
Now we're good.
Mm-hmm. But that's just, there's so much beyond that.
Oh, yeah.
We have not even touched the world that we're starting to say, do I just feel something move behind the curtain?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
That's what the telepathy tapes feels like to me. That was the feeling I had. We just rode over deep water. Yeah. And I can feel some big thing swimming down there.
Did you see the it almost gets a little bit too crazy for me by the end. There was an episode that you probably already heard where it was like, it's so much more than telepathy. It was like, she knew like Hebrew.
Yeah.
And like all these languages, and then hieroglyphics.
Whoa!
I can't say the word now. I used to be able to say it. Now I can't say it anymore. Now that I'm trying.
Okay. Well,
but yeah,
my energy hooked onto yours on that one.
Yeah. But like, who the hell? Like, that's
how
crazy.
Did they learn it? Where did it come from?
That's completely insane.
Back to the Akashic records.
That's what I'm saying.
Bro, as I read books, I don't think that I'm learning anything from any of the books I read. I figured out that all of the knowledge that I learn is there already. Yeah. It's just that the book helps me with a language to be able to look at it in a different way, to understand it. But every single time it feels like it comes from something that's there. Yeah. And the way the telepathy tapes looks at it as, you're not learning, you're tapping into knowledge that already exists.
Mm-hmm. And back to the place where songs come from. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's the place where songs come from. That's where me and Melissa were talking about this, about it's like a conduit. You know, if you're a musician, or any artist really, or anything, I guess, in life. Yeah. When you're open to it and you focus, you're intent on it, it opens little conduits. And sometimes things are trickling through, and sometimes whole ass songs trickle through. And some people's conduits are bigger than others, you know, like the Beatles or something, you know what I mean? Like, how the hell did they write these songs? Like, where did these songs come from?
And some people's conduit is more directly accessible. Like, some people's conduit is of just colors, or it could just dreams comes to you in a dream, and you have to remember and write it down.
Or in the shower.
Yeah.
You know, like,
what's your conduit like?
What I do is I don't force like anything. Some people say, oh, you got to just write every day. And that's one way to do it. I try not to force. Sometimes I do, but what I try to do is just let it just happen. Because music, the way I've always looked at music is like, it's like an accident. You know what I mean? Like, whenever you're writing a song, you're like, usually what I think most musicians do is you're just playing around with some chords, and you're just scatting words, or just speaking gibberish, and you know what I mean? You're just kind of like, and it's just like an accident. You're like, don't, and then like the words or the chords just link up, and it's like, ooh, what's that? Now I got a little melody to go with this, and sometimes a whole song will just come out, you know? A perfect example is Wildflowers by Tom Petty. There's a documentary where they talk about the wildflowers. Basically, with Rick Rubin was in that. Wildflowers, he said, just came out in one take. He wrote that whole song, just wrote it like whoop, like just his conduit it just flew right out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, where did that come from?
Is that how you experience it?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes but I just try to be open to it. You know what I mean? I just try to like.
There's not like certain.
I'm not
conditions.
trying to like. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I do the same. You know,
you don't grind.
I don't try to grind. You know, I can't force anything. You know,
that makes perfect sense to me because that's how I feel about this.
Yeah,
like I'll grind for a intro.
Yeah,
and I'll sit here and record for 30, 45 minutes sometimes for a 3-minute intro.
Right,
just because it's grinding and there's no flow.
Yeah. And
then sometimes I sit down and it just flows.
It just flows perfectly. Yeah. That's just the way
that makes
works.
sense to me.
Yeah. I'm trying to do that with work too. And I did it after the, so I was like pulling a wire through I had to pull it through a big long conduit, and I couldn't get it was like corrugated and twisted. It was all hard to get through there, and I got frustrated, and I just went out to my car, and I was just gonna like sit here in silence and then not think of anything. And then one word popped into my mind: soap. And it just popped right into my head. And I went, duh. Yeah. Okay.
And is that what it feels like when you have a song that just pours out of you?
Sometimes. Yeah.
It's like that word soap.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we've all experienced something tiny like that, I hope.
Yeah. Well, and then I went in and pulled the thing right through. You know what I mean? So that's, you know what I mean? So
how do you access that?
I think that the way you do it is
stop trying to grind.
You just don't stop trying. You know what I mean? And then it's like whenever someone says, "Hey, you know this guy? Oh, what's his name?" And then you're like, "Let me try to force the name to pop up." Like you can't do that. That's not how your brain works. You can't physically squeeze the name. What you do?
Names aren't turds.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You just.
I mean, hell, it works with turds too, dude. Sometimes you just gotta stop.
Yeah.
Clear your mind, relax.
Everything will work and everything will be just fine.
Right.
Exactly.
The analogy works. All right.
It's interesting, like being creative. Like sometimes when I'm laying like on the verge of awake and sleep.
Yes.
And I'll have songs going through my head, or I'll have something that I'm working on, and I'll have to get up and like sneak out to the living room and like record my this idea that I have, because it just like there's something about that too.
Do you have an intentional meditation practice?
I don't know. I really should.
Why do you say you really should? Why don't you?
Why don't I?
One or the other.
I don't, but I should.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe I have too much ADHD. I don't know what the deal is. I just don't try. I don't even try to do it.
So
I don't even try.
Then why should you?
Well, because I feel like your mind needs space.
Okay, then I have one more question about meditation.
Okay.
Have you ever tried hot yoga?
No.
Have you ever tried any yoga? Like going and...
I've gone to like just...
A thing.
Okay. And yeah.
Do you actually really want to find meditation? Or is it just kind of like, it would be cool, but do I really need it?
I mean, I don't know the answer to that question. Yeah.
Well, it's just a leading question, so don't think about it too much.
Yeah, it'd be great to just be like able to like do that, but I don't know if I would have the patience to be able to do it, even though I know that it would benefit my life probably, you know.
If you get curious about hot yoga, listen to the Emotion Art episode with Kay.
Yeah.
Because she is somebody who her whole life steeped in hot yoga.
Yeah.
I am now going.
Yeah.
And it is changing my life. All of this stuff that we're so excited about and looking at, it all exists also inside your body.
Yeah.
And in hot yoga, you are not only extremely uncomfortable and hot, and so you are forced to turn your brain off. You either turn your brain off or you go insane.
Right.
And after the first 1 or 2 times, if you're somebody who actually wants to explore magic, you'll do it. Yeah. Because it's not hard to do. It's just about making the choice, even though it feels like you're going to die.
Right.
And I'm only just starting to be able to do the poses in a stretch, and it's the same poses every time.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get my platforms.
Yeah.
ankle muscles and stuff like that. It's amazing how there's just no strength if you don't are not used to it.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to be able to start doing some of the stretches, and I'm starting to feel not only my muscles that it's stretching, but as I stretch those out, then the next time I go, I feel another extra muscle underneath it.
Oh,
another extra muscle over here.
Yeah.
And I can just feel them where it's like they come alive.
Yeah.
It's like they come online, and now I know they're there.
Right.
And it's such an intensely connective, physically pleasure. It's physical pleasure because these muscles are being seen for the first time, and it makes them feel so good.
It's like a nonverbal person.
It's like exploring.
You have hands. Oh shit! You're like, oh, there's a muscle there. Oh shit!
And it's as cool as the telepathy tapes, except it's all inside your body, and you're watching every one of these things happen, and your whole universe is coming online inside.
Yeah.
Have you read the Internal Family Systems No Bad Parts book? That's about your internal emotional world. Why do we act the way we act? Why does our brain work the way it works?
Yeah.
And it just makes it like it changed how I parent. It changed how I be a partner. It changed my relationship with myself.
Right.
But
too
many books, too little time.
Exactly. But I drive around a lot, so I got I can just get it on Audible and listen to it.
No Bad Parts is one that will change your life. It's not one like all these other books are so fun. Like the Itzhak Perlman is just like it's like philosophical candy with a dash of science that just makes it delicious.
Right.
No Bad Parts will just fucking change your life.
Really?
Yeah. Like you will be done with the book and have a different relationship with yourself than you have ever had it before in your life. I mean, I know for sure every single person that's tried
put that on the list too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I might knock a couple of the books that I have off and maybe put those up more at the top.
The beauty of this thing is anytime you recommend stuff, like you recommended the telepathy tapes to me. Yeah. And I was probably never going to listen to them. And then one time it just clicked at the right time and I started listening. And as soon as you start listening, you're just like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah.
And so that's why. Yeah. And if it never happens, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because nothing ever needs to be done.
I want to know how my brain works and other people's brain too. So I used to, I wouldn't read these books, but I would like, it'd be the Australian monk is what I call him. His name's Ajahn Brahm. And he's in Australia. Ajahn. I think it means teacher.
Ajahn Brahm?
Ajahn Brahm, yeah. You know, he just gives these talks.
Don't worry.
And that's like therapy.
There will be a link to him in the show notes. And this is how the Angela do. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was, you know, when I was listening to him, it was like therapy, you know, because he would like just talk about things that are happening and how to deal with
trauma related. Probably.
Yeah. Even though he's just talking very quietly, but it's like the intensity of what he's saying, it's like peaking. It's like going to a Fish concert or something. Like it'll get to this point, even though he's not talking any louder. It's just the intensity of what he's saying. And he would get like into this rhythm.
I love that.
But anyways, I would listen to these, and I felt like especially when my kids were teenagers and stuff, he taught me a lot, and I was a lot more calmer and handled the situations a lot better. So maybe books like that can help me. Mm-hmm. You know,
that's what has helped me because like for most of my life, I only found meditation since we've moved here.
Yeah.
Before that.
Yeah.
It was chaos. It was awful.
I'm very busy too. Like I got band practice on Tuesday and Thursday. I play basketball on Monday and Wednesdays. And then Friday, there's people are calling me. Yep. I'm going to go out and go.
You're a hub person.
Yeah. And I'm like, when do and I'm working. And then it's like, when the hell am I going to do that? There's plenty of time. I know there is.
Do you see yourself as being comfortable saying no at all, if you want to at all?
Oh yeah, I'll say no for sure.
But will you always say no when you want to say no?
Sometimes my default is no. You know, like my default feeling is no, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna do it anyways. And then usually I would say, 80% of the time, I'm like, I'm glad I went and did that.
So you're still finding your balance, finding what is your yes.
Yeah. But I mean, I play basketball because I love it, and I do that, and I love playing.
I don't play basketball because nobody else loves it.
Nobody else loves basketball.
Nobody else loves basketball when I'm playing in their team or on the same court as them.
Well,
of course, that's still a story.
I get that.
That's a story from when I was in a church camp when I was 9 or something, and I had no exposure to that stuff, and I tried to play with these other kids, and it was just a disaster, and everyone laughed at me, and I sat on the bleachers.
That sucks.
Yeah, and I haven't really played much since.
I mean, that sucks, because basketball, I mean, it's fun. Like I said, I used to do jiu-jitsu, and that was like talk about uncomfortable and feeling sometimes someone's like on top of you, digging their knee into your belly, you know, whatever, and then you're like all and you're just like fighting for your life to try to get out of these uncomfortable situations. And I remember when I first did it, I felt like a slug. Like afterwards, like my whole body, like I couldn't do anything. I didn't realize how out of shape I was when I first did it. I was like, oh, I gotta keep doing this, man. So I can, and then you get to a point when you're bruised all over, and you get to a point where like your body stops bruising. Like, like it's weird. Your body like toughens up, you know? But anyways, I'd get really great workout from doing that and just be completely drained of all my energy. And then when I'd get home and just like, I'm good. Like nothing you could say could piss me off. Like, cause I got it all out. But then, once I stopped doing that, I went and played basketball. It's kind of the same thing. I was just, you know,
basketball is your intentional meditation.
Yeah.
Do you go into flow state in basketball where your brain turns off?
Yeah.
Bro, that's all meditation is.
And so same with music, you know?
Yeah, okay, obviously playing music, but I'm saying outside of creating your art, do you have an intentional meditation practice?
Yeah, I mean, basketball, and definitely like jiu-jitsu is like, you know.
Yeah, I could see that.
It can be that, like, it's also like playing chess. You know?
Okay.
So.
How would you feel about going to, you know what a darkness retreat is? 6 days or whatever. 6 days, 5 nights-ish.
So my buddy, the physicist guy, he went to one of, it wasn't a darkness, but it was like a 5-day
silent retreat.
It was just, and I was like, I can't
okay, so even the silent retreat just is like hell.
I was like, I don't know, I remember saying like, maybe like a 1 day. Can we start with like 1 day, or do you have to do 6 days like right off the bat, or 5 days or something? You know.
Okay, well, so
seems like a long time.
Have you heard of Heart of the Valley, Justin Michelson?
No.
That's a day and a half.
Yeah.
That's where I found No Bad Parts.
Yeah.
That was what started my emotional transformation journey inside.
Oh, okay.
It's a 1.5 day immersive silent retreat. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's not painful at all.
Yeah.
Trust me. And it's only a day and a half.
Yeah. To me, it seems like you should start small, right? Instead of just... If you,
I'm going to have Angela send, she has a link to that.
Yeah.
You at least need to be notified of it because it's so worth it.
Yeah.
And why is it that you feel uncomfortable? What feels uncomfortable about it? About like going to a full, like a 6 day thing? Why not?
Because I don't know. It just seems like...
What are you afraid of?
Sitting in a room for 6 days.
And? Why does that feel uncomfortable?
Because it seems to me like boredom, extreme boredom.
You're afraid of being bored.
Extreme, I guess boredom or of like.
Because you won't have anything to do with your hands.
Yeah.
Talk.
Whatever. Yeah.
Music.
Because I don't do that. I don't think I just explained to you.
What do you think happens?
I never do that.
If Paige is sitting silent, alone for a full day, what is happening?
Well, probably all kinds of things. Probably a lot of purging.
You would not be bored, my friend.
Yeah, probably a lot of purging of probably be thoughts galore. You know,
okay.
It'd probably be like. I'm not saying it'd be a bad thing. I'm just saying it would be a I think it would. I think it would be great. Yeah.
I challenge you
because I get it. I intellectually, I totally understand why it needs to be done.
And your music changes, and your everything changes when you change, right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely an important thing to do.
Great.
I just don't know if I'm there.
You'll be ready when you're ready.
I'm ready when I'm ready.
I'm going to make sure there's a link in front of you, and that's all I'm done.
I'm like, why do I need to go for 2 days or a day and a half? Why don't I just sit down and do it for 5 minutes? Try that first, and see what happens,
You never know until you dive.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, you get stuck in little ruts in your life, and it's good to go out and try to do something different,
Every single day.
Well, every single day, yeah. But if you don't, then you really just the rut just gets deeper.
Yes.
It just gets deeper.
And boredom is real.
Yeah.
And it's a rut. Mm-hmm. And sitting by yourself is not where you're going to experience it. That's where you're going to experience the chaos of your brain saying, fuck.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to keep me distracted. So now I have to think about all of this trauma that I've been burying.
Yeah.
And then No Bad Parts will help you understand that trauma.
Yeah. That's cool. You ever seen that? There's a show called Alone where people go out and
I know of it probably.
Well, it's
like
crazy.
Reality TV.
Yeah, but they'll just send people up to Alaska, and they're basically there alone to fend for themselves in nature until they're the last person. And there's 10 people, and nobody knows what the other people are doing, and you're just there, and it could be 6 months. I think you're just out there by yourself. But a lot of people, they tap out because of their mind. That's why.
Or because they got eaten.
Well, nobody's gotten eaten, but people get hurt.
Or poisoned or starved.
Yeah. Well, people get hurt from the ones I've seen.
Or
people
explosive
they one guy stuck an arrow, in his leg and things.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. But the interesting part, and it relates to this conversation, is that people, they go home because their mind, their mind just takes over, and you can see it even though they're not filming, you're not with them all day. It's almost like you can see how their mind is it's kind of like when you get on a treadmill, you shouldn't be doing this. It'd be so much better if you get off this treadmill, it'd be so much better if you just tapped out and went home.
That's why hot yoga. That's why silent retreats. That's why darkness retreats, because it forces you to face the reality that none of this is real.
Yeah.
And then once you make friends with your mind and realize it's making everything up as you go, nothing's scary anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It all ties back together. And here we are back at telepathy tapes.
Intellectually,
probably.
I know it's true, man. I know it's true.
Well, my job is just to make people, try to push people a little bit, try to find someplace I can make people uncomfortable, and then see what happens. Yeah. Because that's what I want people to do for me.
Right.
To be like, why the fuck are you doing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right back at you. And I'm just like, oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Right.
Why did any of us do anything? What's next for you?
What's next for me?
Yeah. Do you have any big plans? Do you have any big exciting projects that your top secret things that you don't want anyone to know about that you're working on?
Top secret.
Top secret are best, but I'll take lower secret.
Okay. Well, I can tell you some new news. My daughter is pregnant, so I'm going to be a grandfather.
Congratulations.
There's a mind-blowing concept.
And that everything changes again.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
Sweet.
She lives in Hawaii and manifested her whole life. So she's getting, she's just got married or a month ago. And now they're already pregnant and doing all that. So that's something new. I think that's happening.
Love at first sight, match made in heaven.
Yeah.
You have to say yes. So
yeah.
Perfect.
Other things that I got going on. I mean,
I figured you'd be like, well, there's this we're going to have a whole new album on Spotify.
I wish I wish I could say that. Yeah. I wish I could
What's
say that.
What's stopping you?
Actually, doing shows, stop us. But I think that what I'd like to do is just go and do 1 or 2 songs or something. It is maybe not a whole album, but even just one song, because it's a different thing to go into a studio. You know what I mean?
And every time you do it, it changes your art, and it changes who you are, and you grow up a little bit more, and it's fucking incredible.
It's true. The last album that the one that got 0 listens last week. But
why do you do it? Why do you put it on Spotify?
Because it was so easy. It was so easy.
That's not why. There's that's not a why.
No. Why do I record it? Because, I mean, why does anybody record it?
You got 0 listens. This is the third time. I'm going to say third because it sounds better, but it's probably the second time that you've mentioned that. And I get it. I have a fucking podcast that I check the stats on every day, even though I know that is literally a clinical insanity move.
Yeah.
But it's just exciting. It's just exciting.
No,
but
I say it jokingly. I really don't care.
So I want to know why.
I really don't care.
Why do it?
It's there. It's why do what?
Why post your music? Why make it and post it on Spotify?
Well, first of all, because music is so, because it's on all the platforms, right? It's everywhere.
Sure.
So
on platforms.
Yeah. So, when people go, you got a record? Well, can I hear it? And then I'm like, yeah, just look it up. It's right there on your phone.
You're saying you put it on Spotify for ease of pointing people to it.
Because it's available. It's out there in the world. I can put a link to it. I don't have to hand someone a CD. I don't have to like go, go to bandcamp.pit and like some random website and log, search for me. It's just here's the link to it. So
it simplifies.
It simplifies things.
But really, at the end of the day, you want people to hear it.
Of course I do. Yeah. Of course.
That's fair.
Of course I want people to hear it.
I was trying to find a good reason why you shouldn't feel bad at all about having 0 listens. But the truth is, why am I doing this? I want...
Listen, maybe one day, maybe my next record will just blow up and then everyone will be like, what's the other record? And then they'll listen to that, And
whatever, it'll just be the diehard fans that'll like your deep cuts.
Exactly.
That's what the original stuff is. But that blow up record happened because of the deep cuts.
Exactly.
Sweet.
But the cool thing about like when we did this last one was like we've been playing like all these other songs for so long. I was like, I don't want to record these songs. Like I want to just record all new songs. Like so we kind of took a different approach, And so that maybe if you listen to that record, you're like, this doesn't sound like the band maybe you'd go see live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's cool.
Your power is in live.
Yeah.
You're so good live.
Yeah.
You guys have such good energy flow. It's just so great to watch.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
love making little videos of it.
Yeah.
So I want to start doing that more, and you don't seem to mind. So.
No, I don't. I love it. It's great.
More visibility is always better, right? But then there's that little side of me that's like, what's the etiquette here? Like, I have a distinct feeling from you. You don't mind. But what about some other band that doesn't really know me? If I'm like, taking videos and I don't know. What's the etiquette?
I think that people love it.
Great.
I don't think that anybody would, unless they're complete weirdos,
Perfect.
Because why would
I second
every time I see someone with a phone out and videotaping it, so I'm like, oh, we must be doing something right.
You wouldn't believe some of the looks I get from some of the super judgmental. Like you have some judgmental fans.
No, we do. Okay.
Yeah, you have most of your fans are fucking fantastic, and the judgmental ones are fantastic too. By the way, because they're humans and they're interesting.
Yeah,
but I get some looks sometimes.
Really?
Because I totally understand. Like it doesn't hurt my feelings because I know.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't you just be here now and enjoy this instead of trying to save memories for later? And it's still like, okay, I get it from that perspective. But this is my art. This is what I like to do because I like to share things that I find beautiful.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Why. And the whole world can't be here right now, so why don't I take a few minutes out to video a little bit of it, and then.
Yeah, that's why. I think it's perfectly fine.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Like the cool thing about being like in this band in particular is we've been playing together for long enough that like if I go play with other people, I realize the back to the telepathy tapes. You know what I mean? Like
perfect. There's
like a connection that's there, which maybe is or not telepathy, but it's like
I believe it's
there's
energy.
Something that's that we've grown together as a group of people that just have done something together for a long period of time, which means something that I don't think you can buy that. It's kind of like fish, you know what I mean?
Kind of has its own consciousness.
Yeah. And it creates its own thing, it's like its own thing, whatever little thing that is or whatever it is. I'm happy and grateful that I get to do that because that was like always my dream to be able to have a band that's doing what we're doing,
I'm grateful that you're doing it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because it's really a gift to the community. And now that we have the internet and we have whatever's coming, it's a gift of the world because you have the ability to leverage yourself and platform yourself and then reach the whole world. Yeah. You just have that ability. Is it going to happen? you also have other things you want to do, other priorities.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're putting it out there. I'm enjoying it. So thank you.
Yeah. You know what? It's beautiful. And I'm so grateful. I get to meet you, and I meet like I know most, it's actually getting to the point sometimes where I don't know people who are out there,
And you're going to have at least one listener from this that you haven't had before.
All right, good.
I'm trying to be optimistic.
Okay. Just one. Let's just
one. At least, no, I'm saying minimum.
Yeah. But all we need is one.
All we need is one.
All we need
That's
is
true.
one. Yeah.
But when I'm driving up to Portland,
most
of the time it's quiet anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes podcast, whatever. And then every once in a while I put music on.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while your song comes on.
There we go. Which song do you put?
I drive into the city.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my favorite one just because it just tickles that emotional pleasure side of me. It's almost like a fast food pleasure.
Yeah,
It just
I know.
I
know exactly what you're talking about. Yes. That's awesome. To try to get
the mental images of it, the movie playing in my head when that song is playing it's just so beautiful, and it's dark. It's got a post-apocalyptic darkness to it, but it's just laced with connection and like the person is finding themselves. It's again a song about a song that's sung to oneself. You know,
it is. It's a true story, actually. I did all those, all those things, and I was in Wisconsin, and I was out there by myself. And I was just staying in a hotel room, and I went and rented this guitar from like a music center. And I just sat on my bed, and I was like, found that little chord progression, which was really pretty cool. And it was the weekend, so I'm like all by myself in Wisconsin. It was like fall and turning, about to turn in. It's like October. Right? All the things that are in there are like things that I did, and I didn't know what to do, so I just got in my car and called my wife, and I drove all around the whole city and just talked to her on the phone, and I just drove all. I had no idea where I was going. I just was driving and getting on freeways and going through wherever, and just talked to her on the phone, and it's just and then I
already liked it enough.
Most of the things, except for the part where I crack open a beer and then drive the car.
Of course, I know. Of course, that's
I didn't
just
drink
hyperbole.
and drive, but
nope, you never would.
But
that's artistic. Give a message.
Yeah, and then
I get it.
Yeah, and it just it was one of those songs. Like I literally wrote it right there in the hotel room, like right then and there. And I didn't think it would go anywhere, because I got a lot of songs that I write that I just keep them to myself. I got a bunch of those, and I didn't think that would go anywhere. And that's why I was saying, like, when we went to go take a different kind of approach to this EP that we were doing, I was like, well, let's throw this out there and see if that works. And it doesn't feel like a song Left on Wilson would play. You know what I mean? And we so it's a little different.
I love it.
But I think it came out okay.
I fucking love it.
Yeah.
It makes me feel free.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
That's fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But in an interesting dark landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a little sad. It's a little sad.
Mm-hmm. Bittersweet.
Have you ever gone I had to go to training in Paris. I wandered Paris all by myself. Like I went to the Louvre, and I went to the, Eiffel Tower. And I just went all over Paris there over the weekend, but by yourself. That's interesting to be by yourself in like a foreign country.
The City of Love. Isn't that the City of Love?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it is a little melancholy when you're by yourself and alone. And
what were you in Paris for training on? Your job.
My job.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay,
so
okay,
during the week, during the week I was at training, but when I first got there, like I got off the plane, I'd slept on the plane the whole time, and I just was like wide awake. I went to this hotel, and it was right next to the Palace of Versailles. And I just went and toured the Palace of Versailles by myself. And so there's a melancholy feeling is what I'm trying to say when you're like by yourself. It's cool that came across. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Good times.
Good times indeed. So if you could sum up all the message in your music, like everything you're trying to say to the world, and you could just nutshell it, what would you say your message is? What do you think is the most important thing to say that you could say?
With my music.
No. To me, that just felt like a really good way to be like, What are you trying to say in a nutshell overall? And you would like, who knows, because in every moment it's different, but
right.
just the overall, like, what is it that you want to say to the world?
I think mostly what I'm writing most of my songs about is I'm really writing them to my wife, or about my wife, or different things that, that we're going through. And so it's really just about, love, just sharing my experiences that I have. Usually it's because she's been with me for, for a long time. So basically everything that I've ever done has been with her. We grew up together. So she's naturally a part of all of my songs,
You're a romantic.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's why your whole goal is just to write love songs. This is great.
That's all
Sing love songs.
See how it all come back together? See how we put a bow on that?
Yes. So I'm going to then make up your nutshell. Love one another.
Love one another, yeah. Yeah.
You would say it differently.
Yeah.
But
yeah. It's a good question, though. I haven't, it's a good question.
Think about it, and then sometimes say it out from your stage, and then I'll know. I'll get my answer from the stage. How about that?
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I'll hear it again and again and again and again, because you always speak and you always say something.
Yeah.
And it's always important, probably, because it comes from inside.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'll think about that. It's a good question, though it is. Like, what am I trying to say? Maybe I'm not done saying it, so I don't know.
You are not.
Yet.
You are not. And I really appreciate having a audience seat to whatever the fuck your message ends up being.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, dude, we had everybody, the community of everybody, like just through playing music, and everybody that I get to meet. And like I said, you and the whole Corvallis crew that was up here, and all the,
you've got a very, just a fantastic mixture of people in your following.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. These things are.
Oh, it's intense, dude. And you're right. Every time I take it off, I get another emotional
shocks
shock.
Your brain. Yeah.
The world is different. These glasses to me are all the proof I need that the 3-dimensional world is a hologram that isn't what we actually think it is. So enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you say, if I was to say, what are you most afraid of? Does anything jump out at you?
What am I most afraid of? I guess I'd be afraid of things that I don't want to even bring up and conjure into existence. People that I love being hurt or something like that.
Losing, loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't know how I'd react to that.
So, okay, then this makes me think of your talk about the fear of death.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you've kind of faced that. You're not really afraid of death.
Yeah. Well, I'm not afraid of me dying. I mean, I'm afraid of the dying part, maybe, but not being dead.
A physical discomfort.
Yeah. I've had a pretty easy, there's been a lot of people I've known that have died that I was pretty, close to, I guess, but not like anybody immediate, family. My dad died, but I hadn't talked to him in 13 years, so I didn't really have a big connection with him. But me and my wife were talking last night because it's an interesting thing, about the telepathy tapes. Yes. Again, is that she has cognitive dissonance about this, where we literally get in fights when I start talking about it. Oh, and which is hilarious because we're fighting about telepathy.
Yes.
Which I think is really.
Fighting is the opposite of telepathy.
Yeah, right.
That's
it's just we're arguing, she goes to bed, and you know what I mean.
Is she a naysayer?
Yeah, she's like, you're.
Oh, fantastic.
She just doesn't even. She just does not believe it at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but listen, and I'm trying to logically. It's I just want to tell you how it got here, and then no, But
which is just what you need.
Yeah, but the point is last night we were talking, and one of the people that was close to me was her dad, and her dad was he was always around, and he was he was a really bad alcoholic, but he was a good guy. He lived here, and he got just sicker and sicker, and then ended up she had to go over to his house, and I was asking her about it last night. It was just her and him, and she was there when he died, and she said she put her hands behind his head and said, it's okay. You don't have to stay here. Something Ajahn Brahm says. She gave him permission to die. You don't have to hang out. And she said, she started crying and all that, but she was like, I felt him. She's like, people talk about how they used to leave the window open when people would die. She said, I felt his spirit just gone. You could just feel it be gone. I knew it right then and there. And it was a pretty emotional thing she was talking about last night. And I'm trying to ask her, that was the most intense thing you've ever I've never experienced something like that. If that was, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, did that ring any bells?
What did you think that was?
Did that ring any bells? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm trying to tell her, like, I want to communicate with her, like, maybe this thing is telling, these tapes or something, or giving us some proof that, like, maybe he is still a part of the consciousness system, so to speak. It's crazy, but
it's just a question.
Yeah.
And it's fun to chase.
Yeah.
And who knows what the answers are going to be. Inevitably, I think that, like, when we die, we're just going to wake up in the next birth, start over right where we left off. You don't start over. That's not like that. You keep going. You go to the next stage. So you just keep going.
Let me ask you a question, because what do you think? Because here's where I get caught up in the consciousness thing. Like, where do you think a grasshopper fits in this thing, or a worm? Like, or a cat, or a squirrel or something. Where are all the other myriad of little creatures that are running around that are not human beings, but are obviously aware and interacting with the world? How does that fit into all of this? That's one of the things I can't really understand.
My brain goes to a couple different places when you ask that. I had a regressive hypnosis treatment.
Yeah.
With Stevie, who has an episode on here.
Yeah. And
in that, there was a point where she takes, of course, I'm just telling the story in my head, hypnosis, it's deep meditation to me. And I'm just allowing her to point me in the directions and then seeing what I see there and telling the story as it goes. I find myself in this place where I'm jumping off of these cliffs into a water, and it feels like a rite of passage. It's like an initiation type of thing. I'm like this young, teenager or whatever. And I know that there's a good chance I'll die. It's like a long leap, but there's no hesitation. It's just joy of the leap into becoming part.
Yeah.
And I had this sense of many, many iterations of this, many times doing it, of going through things to become a part of something.
Yeah.
And the reason that applies to my worldview is because I don't think that time is a thing that we flow through.
Yeah.
I think that time is a layer, is a body made out of a layer of a series of moments. Mm-hmm. And at each one of the moments that we're in, we are connected to every other moment that's ever existed or will exist, because it all exists right now.
Right.
There isn't a flow of time. This moment, you can never get to later. You're always right now.
Yeah.
And so it's like a 4-dimensional physical existence that we move through in the time things. And so, okay. That's the way I see reincarnation working is, okay, I just talked myself into a corner. Let me back up.
Okay.
Because I went a different direction. You were actually asking about, like, other forms of life, things other than human.
Yeah. How does that fit into the consciousness system?
Okay.
Yeah.
When I look at one of our cats or dog, I see a consciousness that's looking out of it.
Right.
I have come to the point, because I choose to see the world this way, that I'm aware of that consciousness as the same consciousness that's looking out of my eyes.
Right.
So,
yeah,
I think that in the beginning, God created. God is creation. However you want to look at it, all of this is God creating out of itself. And it's all just iterations. And the grasshopper is God experiencing what existence would be like if you are God in this form right here, right now. And the you is what it would be like to be God at this point and in this
to be me.
time, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And so we're reincarnations of the grasshopper in that it's all part of the same consciousness. When we are not constrained by our physical senses, we will be able to access what it feels like to be a grasshopper.
Right.
Maybe not immediately. Maybe that's way down the line. I don't know. But ultimately, it's all moving towards a higher state of awareness, a bigger picture, a taller view to look down and see more. Right now, all we can see is the 3 dimensions.
Right.
But I think that we are God becoming aware of itself in this way.
Yeah.
And that is God becoming aware of itself in that way. One time, I watched a worm crawl across the rainy ground in the Oregon drizzle morning for an hour, like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It was just crawling across. And I became so like focused on that experience. And I started to try to see the world from its perspective with the senses it has. Yeah. Kind of an upside down world. Like everything just started to shift in my perspective.
Right. Right.
And then I saw a little tiny, like the features on the end of its body looked like my face. Like I saw myself in this worm. I became so aware that worm, the same consciousness that's behind my eyes was also behind that worm. Yeah. And I believe it's behind this chair too, because this chair is a collection of particles that make up whatever it is, and so it has its consciousness in its own way, and
just very
it's super fun to talk about, but it takes forever.
Well, yeah, it's like.
Does that in any way answer your question? After I
I totally
walked myself off a cliff.
I totally understand exactly what you like. Yeah, I mean, really, we're all just eyes of the world, eyes of everything. Yeah. You know, we're looking through. If we're all one unified consciousness, then we are looking through. The light shines through the eyes of every being and every creature.
And there's a judging, processing mind that's behind your eyes, but there is an awareness behind that I believe has no.
So I guess the question is, I understand that part, but and then this goes down to like, are you actually an individual? Because if you're not actually an individual, and if the reincarnation thing happens and you're just reincarnating with the traits of who you were, I guess if there is some line, some string that is attached to where somehow we are some form of the same being, I guess. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how does that translate to a grasshopper? How does a grasshopper get to be a rabbit or something?
Okay, I feel like if I existed, if I existed in a 2-dimensional plane and I did not exist in a 3-dimensional plane, I would be able to touch you. Yeah. But I would only be able to touch you in the 2-dimensional plane that I exist in relative to you. Yeah. If my 2-dimensional plane that I exist in is the one that is at ear level, I can touch any part of you at ear level. Yeah. And since I'm 2-dimensional, I can probably touch the inside of you as easily as the outside. Yeah. But no, I can't operate unless I am able to somehow enter the 3rd dimension. Then I can touch you anywhere I want. Right. I think it's the same thing where that grasshopper exists right now. Yeah. And when you go to the next beyond or whatever, you then have access to the Akashic records. You can become that grasshopper in experience anytime you want. Yeah. It is existing. That grasshopper's life is happening right now. Yeah. And in a billion years, when all the systems have exploded and died and are reborn or whatever the fuck happens, that grasshopper is still going to exist right now. Yeah.
You could always know what it's like to be.
It's just that it's outside. We only live in this one plane, and we are moving through the planes in a fluid motion because our brain is wired to make it all flow together. Yeah. But when we are no longer tethered into this plane, into this 3-dimensional existence through our energetic connection to our 3-dimensional physical bodies, we will exist in a different plane. And I don't know, is it going to be a plane where we have a conscious awareness of the 4th? Because to me, I believe that there is not only a 4th dimension, there's a 5th and a infinitieth. Yeah. I just think that evolution never stops. Learning, creation, God is infinite. Right. However you want to say it, it never stops. And so as we go through birth, deaths and births, it's still all happening in the same moment of infinity. The singularity, the Big Bang is happening. We're in the middle of the Big Bang. Yeah,
we are the Big Bang.
We are the Big Bang, and it's an infinite reality, an infinite potential. And so this is one of the potentials. Yeah, and it's happening. And so is every other potential that could possibly happen, and nothing. Yeah, and if all of our senses that measure and judge and catalog aren't around, then guess what? It turns back into the infinite potential for everything.
Right.
Until it's measured again.
Yeah.
Then it becomes whatever
it
it's
is.
so interesting.
I could talk about this for hours.
Me too. And I would love to sit down and talk again.
Yeah.
Maybe do a book focused one or a topic focused one. I want to start doing more of those.
Yeah.
Just because it's what I want to. I want to be learning, and that's how best way to learn. But
yeah, well, you can stay. Yeah, to learn about just one thing, because we can go all over the place.
I really enjoy talking to you.
Thanks
I
for having me.
enjoy the way your brain goes from topic to topic. Feels familiar.
Yeah.
And the things you like to talk about. And when I challenge you and maybe do it in a fucking stupid way, you don't get butthurt. You just be like, what? Yeah, we're humans. We'll do this thing.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on your podcast, man. It's a comfortable environment in here. I like it.
I'm going to admit,
Yeah.
I have had just this tiniest little nervous vibration because,
Yeah.
the term starstruck.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't interact with a lot of celebrities, and to me, you're a celebrity.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I
Wow,
feel like
yeah.
if I had someone that felt that way about me,
Yeah.
I would like to know. So
Yeah,
I want to tell
appreciate
you that's.
man.
I was a
appreciate
tiny bit nervous,
Yeah.
but it was tidal wave overwhelmed by my fascination with the things you like to think about. So.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, man, this community of all you guys, it takes all of us.
Yeah, it takes all of us.
It takes all of us to do all the things that we do, and
Each in our own space,
yeah,
in our own way.
yeah.
And the world
Like
gets
I
more and
said,
more
so
colorful.
this is community. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
That's what we're all after.
that's it. And I love you guys, and I love all the experiences that we get to have, and the shows are just a way of like getting us all together.
Shows are a way for helping all of the people who want to, for a minute, just feel unburdened by care.
Right.
And just be free.
Yeah.
And you offer that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man.
Okay, we'll do this again.
Okay. Sounds good.
to Buddy Anderson for his original music and audio engineering. This podcast sounds the way that it does because of his heart and the way that he listens. Explore his sound at From Another Mista on Spotify. Well worth the listen. And to Angela Cook, our producer, thanks for holding the vision, weaving the threads, and helping every episode land with clarity and care. To every one of you who subscribed, listened, shared, or just felt something along the way, thank you. You're part of this too. Your attention is sacred. I don't take it lightly. Stay curious. I'll see you next time.